From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Keith Allen and proudly welcoming you to this Thursday's edition of For the People. It's March the 30th, 2017, and back on Capitol Hill today, more testimony trying to figure out what in the world is going on with Russia and what the Trump people knew. And, well, why don't we just ask the Obama people what they knew? That's going to be coming up a little bit later on. We're going to hear an interesting clip and some information and revelations about Evelyn Farkas, the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense under then President Barack Obama. And what did the Obama administration know? What did James Comey know? Well, apparently they knew a lot. And it's going to come out. Eventually will all come out. Even Vladimir Putin, all the way from Russia, is actually making comment about it. This morning, Senator Warren from a little while ago. Here he is.
This information is not about whether you have a D or an R next to your name. It is not about relitigating last fall's election. It is about clearly understanding and responding to this very real threat. It's also, I believe, about holding Russia accountable for this unprecedented attack on our democracy. And it is about arming ourselves so we can identify and stop it when it happens again. And trust me, it will happen again if we don't take action. I would hope that the president is as anxious as we are to get to the bottom of what happened. But I have to say editorially that the president's recent contact with his wild and uncorroborated accusations about wiretapping and his inappropriate and unjustified attacks on America's hardworking intelligence professionals does give me grave concern. This committee has a heavy weight of responsibility that prove that we can continue to put our political labels aside to get us to the truth. I believe we can get there. I've seen firsthand, and I say this to our audience, how serious members on both sides of this dais have worked on this sensitive and critical issue.
Yeah.
As the chairman and I have said repeatedly, this investigation will follow the facts where they lead us. If at any time I believe we're not going to be able to get those facts, and we're working together very cooperatively to make sure we get the facts that we need from the intelligence community, we will get that done.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, again, I thank you for your commitment to the serious work and your commitment to keeping this bipartisan cooperation, at least, if not all across the Hill, alive in this committee. Thank you very much.
Grave concern for Donald Trump. Grave concern, how about for Obama? He should be a little nervous. What in the world was going on there? Well, actually, before we go on to the good doctor, let's just go ahead and skip ahead to Evelyn Farkas and what she had to say. Did she slip on national TV? I was
urging my former colleagues and frankly speaking, the people on the Hill. It was more actually aimed at telling the Hill people, get as much information as you can, get as much intelligence as you can before President Obama leaves the administration, because I had a fear that somehow that information would disappear with the senior people who left. So it would be hidden away in the bureaucracy, that the Trump folks, if they found out how we knew what we knew about the Trump staff's dealing with Russians, that they would try to compromise those sources and methods, meaning we would no longer have access to that intelligence. So I became very worried because not enough was coming out into the open, and I knew that there was more. We have very good intelligence on Russia. So then I had talked to some of my former colleagues, and I knew that they were trying to also help get information to the Hill. That's why you have the leaking.
David, is she admitting that the Obama administration surveilled, unmasked, and leaked? That's just a devastating admission right there. And if the chairman of the House and Senate investigations needs to be calling her today. They need to be.
All right, folks. There's a lot of stuff going on here. A lot of stuff. I knew this smelled from the very beginning. Most Americans knew it stunk. But it does smell very, very badly. And you know what? This does not look good for James Comey. It does not look good for Barack Obama. I mean, this is disgusting. It'll be interesting to see what Vladimir Putin is saying about it. But the truth of the matter is, how good is your memory? Now, everybody kind of knows that. You ever see the movie Spies Like Us? It's kind of a fun movie, right? We're kicking that old school. That's just like back in the 80s. But seriously, we have spies. They have spies. It's just something. We just sent Russian spies back home. They buy homes. We knew they were checking us out. What do you think when they go into international waters, when they have their ships close to our shores, monitoring? They spy on us. We have ships out there. They spy, and they do a lot of things in a lot of different ways. And yes, they use computers, and they also use money. Now, according to the U.S. Senate, the subcommittee on investigating the PSI, the State Department gave $349,276, remember, in U.S. taxpayer-funded grants to a political group in Israel to build a campaign operation, which subsequently was used to try to influence Israelis to vote against conservative Benjamin Netanyahu in March of 2015. It's a known fact. He's meddled in other elections. The United States has done it, and with your dollars. This is nothing new. Nothing new at all. This is just unbelievable. Obama is a sleazeball. If anybody was meddling, it was Obama and his people priming, trying to show that there's collusion between Donald Trump's people because of business. We got taxpayer dollars on the record showing. How illegal is that? You don't hear anybody talking about that's why you get a different balanced approach here on For the People. But I had to point it out because a lot of people have short memory, and I haven't heard anybody point out about the State Department and Netanyahu and Israel about this. Everything's Russia. Well, what the heck? We don't meddle? We meddle plenty around the world. But that's the most recent. People need to remember these particular things and how they've used our taxpayer dollars. You remember when this has happened? And now they act like, we've never done this, and how dare Russia do this? And come on. Fully aware that they try, that's the operative word here. As a matter of fact, let's put that up in lights here. Try to meddle in the elections, but people went to the polls and they voted fair and square. And maybe people didn't like the WikiLeaks from Julian Assange, and they didn't like people hacking into the computers. But that information that came out about Hillary Clinton and her folks was all accurate. It was all 100% accurate information. God, could you imagine if we had Hillary Rotten Clinton in? I am thankful. And I think, you know what, if we got to thank the Russians, God, it's a terrible thing to say, but darn, thank you, Vladimir, if you helped persuade some Americans somehow to vote for Donald Trump, thank God. I believe that Hillary Clinton is more evil than Putin ever has been. Not to say that he's not evil, because he is. I think we need to tighten down. I've said this all along when it comes to computers and how we operate and firewalls and attachments to the internet and just we've made it too easy for these hackers to be able to get into the best computers that our government has to give to their employees, to their workers, to politicians. You think that they would be able to get a little better protection on their items. They need to get cracking quick. That's very sensitive information. And yeah, there's always going to be people that are going to try to spy on us and try to mess with us. But we're kind of doing the same things. We can't play dumb. We just don't like when it happens to us. Obviously, we don't like it very, very much. But that was an interesting admission of guilt. Whether they use this in for any testimony of Evelyn Farkas, the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense under President Barack Obama, she was discussing this on MSNBC. And what an admittance of guilt. Even they said it right there on MSNBC. Purposely used that nasally delivery. Oh, John McCain back in the news, and this one's kind of funny. I kind of like this. This has to do with Kim Jong-un. And I guess let's just put it in his own words rather than just read it out here. It would be fine to do that, but I just kind of like the interview. I think it's a little bit more amusing to actually hear John McCain talk to Un. And this, by the way, this news story, this has gone viral. And, of course, in North Korea, they don't like this very much.
China is the one that the only one that can control Kim Jong-un, this crazy fat kid that's running North Korea. He's not rational. We're not dealing with someone like Joseph Stalin, who had a certain rationality to his barbarity.
The crazy fat kid. That's exactly what he is. He is 33 years old. He is nuts. He's presiding over a starving populace as estimated to weigh right now and weigh 275 pounds. And what is he, like, not even 5 feet? That's a lot of weight. But anyway, meanwhile, his population's starving. But his military, I guess they have rations they can eat. And thanks to China, they're able to actually stay afloat, literally, with their economy. But you know what's going to take something stupid for China to finally wake up. I think they're deceived. I don't think that this guy is going to be as unhinged. I don't think they think that this guy is going to be able to be trigger happy and really do something really dumb to hurt somebody. But I just have a bad feeling that he's going to launch something. It's going to do something, and this guy's going to have to be taken down, and his regime is going to be hit hard. And those bombers that we've been circling around there, South Korea, doing those war games, I think they're readying themselves. I think there's going to be something going down this summer. I honestly do. The Japanese should be nervous. Everybody on that peninsula should be really freaking out about it. But this guy he's worse than his predecessors. Worse than his predecessors. And this guy is so demonic. You want to talk about evil lurking. This guy is just, oh my God, unbelievably scary. He freaks me out. Maybe it's this past weekend, I was watching a documentary about the torture camps they have there in North Korea where they kill prisoners. Not a surprise. We know they've done that. But then they beat the corpses even after they're dead. They order them to do that, I guess, to make sure that they're good and dead. But apparently, McCain is not the only one that's been very critical of Kim Jong-un the last several days. Marco Rubio, our senator here from Florida, has actually been critical, but they monitor the news. They monitor what's going on, and I guess it hurt his feelings, the young leader, and we're just really choked up here and very, very sad for you. Did you hear about this horrific accident in Texas where a church bus was carrying senior citizens.